Segment with our top focus on the Israel-Hamas war. Now, a deal between Israel and Hamas for a temporary ceasefire or an operational pause, as Israel is calling it, for at least a 4-day pause in hostilities is currently taking place. We are learning that 13 Israeli hostages and 12 Thai nationals were the first batch to be released to the staff of the International Committee for Red Cross and were taken from Khan Yunis in southern Gaza to the Rafah crossing, that is at Egypt, into Israel. The accord was orchestrated by Qatar and the US and officially announced earlier this week. The agreement entails a complete ceasefire with no attacks from the air or the ground and the skies clear of drones to allow for these hostages to be released to happen in a safe environment. Now, the Israel Defense Forces have launched an offensive in Gaza ever since 1,200 citizens from Israel were killed in a Hamas attack on October 7. Hamas had also taken nearly 240 hostages, mostly civilians, when their operatives burst across the border fence and raided towns in southern Gaza. For more details, let's quickly go across to Siddhant Mishra, who's joining me on the phone line. Siddhant, if you could throw more light on how this entire deal is being facilitated and what is the role that's being played by Red Cross?
Well, that's right. And in fact, after 48 days of intense fighting, counteroffensives, the war is witnessing a day is humanitarian pause, and perhaps we are getting this visuals at least from the Hamas camp, where the hostages have been set free and the Red Cross convoy have entered the Rafah crossing, which is the Egyptian territory. And in fact, they are being treated at hospital. The numbers that have been shared with us, Akanksha, differ from one organization to the other, because Qatar government has to say that there are 13 Israeli nationals, 12 Thai nationals, and 1 Filipino. And Red Cross has to say that in total 24 hostages have been released by Hamas. So let's wait for the official confirmation how many of them have been released and how many of them have successfully entered the Rafah crossing. So none of the American nationals have been released, point number one. Second, we are still awaiting the response from the government of Israel. Once they will take charge of those who have been set free, then we would be in a better situation to confirm the numbers. And also what is going to be the development on the promise that Israel has made in terms of prisoner swap, because they are also expected to release prisoners. So this is going to continue for next 4 days, and also Israel has offered Hamas that if they are going to release 10 hostages every day, then this truce will continue. They will hold on to this truce. Now, we both know, Akanksha, that how international community has failed, diplomacy has failed. The war has been going on from last 48 days. The hostages were in the captivity, but because of the efforts by United States and also the key mediator Qatar, which has played a very prominent and active role in bringing all parties together and perhaps broker a deal, which could perhaps a step forward towards peace and truce. This is how the world is perceiving this. And in fact, the government of India has also, in a way, backed it. And in fact, in the last G20 virtual meeting, broadly, all countries were on the same page as far as this particular truce is concerned.
Interesting that you mentioned the role being played by the international community, because remember, Siddhant, a lot of questions have already been raised at the military strategy of Israel and how it's been failing on ground level. Israel has also been very vocal about how it intends to double down on the war if the truce gets over. Is there still a glimmer of hope now that both sides, including Israel and Hamas, have sort of agreed upon this deal, which is now being orchestrated?
Well, yes. Look, Akanksha, there was no way out. There was no solution available with any of these nations. There was excessive diplomacy put in place by US and, in fact, the other Middle Eastern countries. They all had come out with their own plans, their own proposals, their demands. There were peace conferences which were held There is also a delegation which has been formed. You are very well aware about it, Akanksha. They are going country to country, P5 country. In fact, they are expected in India also. The dates are being worked out right now. So, lot was being done, but there was no solution. On ground, there was no implementation. On ground, there was no relief. Israel was asking Hamas to release the hostage. Hamas was asking Israel to stop the counteroffensive. So, this is perhaps, as I said, that is a step towards a solution, is a step towards a larger roadmap for a truce or some sort of a settlement. And that is how right now the world is perceiving this particular development.
All right, many thanks to you, Siddhant Mishra, for tracking this story for us. Now remember, Israel has been very vocal about the prisoner swap that's also going to be taking place, because remember, as Hamas releases these hostages, Palestinian prisoners will be released by Israel in exchange. Israel's gone on record to say that this is not a civilian to civilian pact, because who they will be releasing as far as these Palestinian prisoners are concerned, they are terror convicts. Earlier, I spoke to IDF